we have to talk about a secondary function, which is secondary concentration that gets in here. As uke, it's very, very common in all the grappling arts that we develop skills in our practice to dampen the effects of off balance as they occur, and it's notorious particularly in judo. So if I asked Cameron, who does both judo and aikido, to sort of dial back the off balance a little, don't quite give it away quite so much, we'll see a little different effect. We'll see a touch, a touch, a touch. But we don't get the throw out of him. But we still see the off balance. Let's watch it again. Touch, touch, touch. Good. If I say now let's use your secondary concentration, your isometrics in your body and your internal resistance to the off balance as it's affecting you, and try to dampen it even further. And we get, and it's flatter. You can still see his body get into wobbly kind of mechanistic actions and get into postural strangeness, but we don't see the big effects. Yeah, I blew it on that one. I went the wrong way. We're touching down, up, down. Yes, you see his body still wobbling and bobbling, but not nearly as pronounced. Now I'm going to dial it back a lot. Yeah, now you just see the shoulders and the hips rocking slightly. And now just shut it all down. Yeah, I'm still getting a little effect out of him. Try to shut it completely down. Don't let me do anything to you. Yeah, better, better, better. Now what that comprises in Uke's body is a secondary concentration. What allows him to dial it back is an ability to try to thwart the off balance that's naturally occurring to him as he commits the attack. And so he has the intention of attacking. He's trying to do a job. He's going to come and grab my wrist, bam, and deliver energy to me, put me on my heels, for instance. But at the same time, he's also wary. He's also got a secondary level of concentration operating that is basically saying, any input that comes in here that I can dampen the effect of, I will. So you get, yeah, you get a very flat sort of affect. Now that is a product of training and a product of specialized skill training, particularly from Aikido and Judo. It's a grappling skill that develops over time, and it's important that it develops, but it's also important to keep it in check. There are entire systems of Aikido in the world built around an uke that's functioning from a high level of concentrated secondary concentration all the time. In other words, they are operating from a stance of don't let anything affect me, period, to the nth degree. And so you see things that have applications in an Aikido technique. We'll take a technique like, Oshitoshi, for instance. So he's coming in for his attack. If he gives me the standardized, just intent to push my head back 4 or 5 inches off the top of my head and just reacts normally, we have something like this. That's very typical because he didn't really engage much secondary concentration. If he is really giving it away to me and making it very easy and obvious for all the off balance to occur, in other words, not interfering whatsoever, it'll look more like, yeah, I don't hardly have to do anything. He's just moving for me. Wow, that's exciting. But as Torei, I don't get much feedback from that. And so now we're going to go in the other direction. I want you to kind of just kill the effect somewhat. Yeah, and so by the time we get to the kake here, it's a little dicey. Now if you wind up going all the way, tighten down the hatches all the way. Yeah, okay, not quite all the way, are you? All right, stop it now. Yeah, there he goes. He kills the effect entirely. Now, because we wind up with an uke that kills the effect entirely, that you can't do it to me, don't let me do it to you, that sort of function, we have to employ different kazushi. We start with the same basic ideas of kazushi, But as we start to move, we have to add kazushi. We have to add lateral forces acting on him, so that you have a good position to begin with, but his posture is not he's absorbing all the torsion that's happening to him, and he's disallowing any postural off balance if he can. So my body's reading that, and so I'm going to add another kazushi. I'm going to add a kazushi sideways to his body, right here. Right. And it's either going to throw him in a coil right there, which is where he was going initially, this way, or he's going to recover from that, in which case we get the thing we were after to begin with. So when you have ukes that are functioning out of the paradigm of attacking but also employing full tilt secondary concentration to try to stop the effects of off balance, you have to ploy with greater and greater levels of kazushi in directions that are not typical. And ultimately, you just have him being as static as he can be. He's just not allowing anything to happen to him. Yeah, and you have a very sort of hard, clunky engagement. And then the falls become very dramatic and hard as well. If you have a lot of healthy young people, you can get away with that for a long time. But if you have a lot of middle-aged folks taking hard falls, it becomes a little treacherous. And it's also training against a paradigm that only exists in a very specialized setting. The secondary concentration setting is not a realistic paradigm for real-world application, because if the guy over there thought that if he tries to take your head off, that he's going to have to do something as dramatic as secondary concentration to begin with, he probably wouldn't try to take your head off to start with. The attacker in the real world against, a law enforcement officer or against a victim in a crime situation, they are being attacked with full intention, not secondary concentration. They're being attacked with an attack that's just coming in to overwhelm. And from that sort of attack, no problem, no big issue. Now, is it wrong to train against these more heightened senses of uke dampening effects? No, in fact, it's very useful. You can work from somebody, like I said, completely static and still learn to control and make the mechanisms go. It's very popular in some parts of the world to do these different, more exotic forms. It's just that it's a limited context, and you have to be aware of the limited context you're functioning within. So, thank you very much. That's great. Good work.